Imagine walking into your boss's office next week and walking out with a 20% raise. Sound impossible? What if I told you that the average person who actually negotiates their salary earns over $100,000 more throughout their career than those who simply accept whatever they're offered? Yet 90% of people never even try to negotiate. Today, I'm going to reveal the exact psychological strategies and insider secrets that top executives use to command the salaries they deserve. And by the end of this video, you'll have a step-by-step blueprint to transform your next performance review into a life-changing payday. But first, let me share something that might shock you. The biggest mistake people make when asking for a raise isn't being unprepared or asking for too little money. It's something far more subtle, and it's probably sabotaging your earning potential right now without you even realizing it. We'll dive deep into this career-killing error in just a moment, but first, let's talk about why most people are leaving massive amounts of money on the table. The uncomfortable truth is that your employer expects you to negotiate. When they set your initial salary or plan your annual review, they build in room for negotiation. If you don't ask, you're essentially giving away money that was already mentally allocated for you. Think about that for a second. Every year you don't negotiate is another year you're working for less than your employer is willing to pay you. Now, here's where things get interesting. The most successful negotiators don't just ask for more money. They understand something fundamental about human psychology that completely changes the game. They know that decision makers don't just evaluate your request based on logic and numbers. They evaluate it based on how that decision makes them feel about themselves and their role in the organization. This is what I call the mirror principle, and it's the first secret weapon in your negotiation arsenal. When your boss says yes to your raise request, they need to feel good about that decision. They need to see themselves as a fair leader who recognizes talent and invests in their best people. Your job isn't just to prove you deserve more money. Your job is to make it easy and emotionally satisfying for them to give it to you. So how do you activate this mirror principle? It starts months before you ever set foot in that office. The preparation phase is where negotiations are won or lost, and most people completely skip this crucial step. They walk into a meeting hoping their good work will speak for itself. But here's the reality check. Your boss manages multiple people, deals with countless priorities, and probably doesn't remember half of what you've accomplished this year. The secret is creating what I call a value archive. This isn't just a list of your achievements. It's a carefully curated collection of specific, measurable impacts you've made on the business. But here's the key. You need to frame these accomplishments in terms of value to the organization, not just tasks completed. For example, instead of saying you managed 5 client accounts, you say you retained 5 major clients worth a combined revenue of $200,000 while improving their satisfaction scores by 30%. Instead of saying you streamlined a process, you say you identified and eliminated inefficiencies that saved the company 15 hours per week, equivalent to roughly $25,000 annually in labor costs. This approach works because it triggers another powerful psychological principle. When you demonstrate clear value delivery, you create an unconscious debt in your manager's mind. They feel compelled to reciprocate that value with increased compensation. But gathering evidence is only half the battle. The timing of your negotiation can make or break your success, and this is where most people make critical mistakes. There's a phenomenon called anchoring bias that you need to understand and leverage. The first number mentioned in any negotiation becomes the anchor point that influences everything that follows. Here's the counterintuitive truth. You should almost never be the first person to mention a specific salary figure. Instead, you want to anchor the conversation around your value and let your manager either make the first offer or ask what you have in mind. If they do ask for a number, you respond with a range rather than a single figure, and that range should be strategically calculated based on market research and your documented value. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake I mentioned earlier. It's what I call premature gratitude. And most people end their negotiation pitch by saying something like, "I would really appreciate your consideration," or "Thank you for thinking about it." This completely undermines your position because it signals that you're asking for a favor rather than claiming what you've earned. Instead, confident negotiators end with what's called a collaborative close. Something like, "Based on the value I've demonstrated and my research into market rates, I believe this adjustment reflects a fair alignment between my contribution and my compensation. What are your thoughts on moving forward with this?" See the difference? You're not begging for consideration. You're presenting a logical case and inviting collaboration on the solution. This subtle shift in language completely changes the power dynamic of the conversation. But what happens when your manager says they need to think about it or check with their boss? This is actually a positive sign, not a rejection. It means you've made a compelling case that requires careful consideration. The key is how you respond to this delay. Most people just say, "Okay, let me know," and then anxiously wait for weeks. Smart negotiators use this pause strategically. They follow up with additional value documentation, market research, or proposals for alternative forms of compensation if budget is truly an issue. This brings us to another crucial concept. Negotiation isn't just about base salary. There are multiple levers you can pull to increase your total compensation package. These include performance bonuses, additional vacation time, flexible work arrangements, professional development budgets, stock options, earlier review cycles, upgraded job titles, and project leadership opportunities. Sometimes your manager genuinely wants to give you a raise but faces budget constraints. By expanding the conversation beyond just salary, you create multiple pathways to yes. A promotion with a modest salary increase plus additional benefits might actually be worth more than a straight salary bump. Sometimes the real barrier isn't your performance or the budget. It's that your manager doesn't have the authority to approve your request or doesn't understand how to navigate their organization's compensation process. In these cases, your job shifts to helping them become your advocate rather than trying to convince them directly. This might involve offering to compile additional documentation, suggesting they speak with specific colleagues who can vouch for your work, or proposing a trial period where you take on additional responsibilities before the compensation increase takes effect. The most sophisticated negotiators also understand the concept of strategic patience. Not every negotiation needs to be resolved in a single conversation. Sometimes the best approach is to plant seeds that grow over time. You might not get everything you want today, but you can establish a clear trajectory toward your goals. For instance, you might negotiate for a title promotion now with the understanding that salary will be revisited in 6 months based on specific performance metrics. Or you might secure additional responsibilities and visibility that position you for a bigger raise next year. Here's another advanced technique that few people know about: the multiple option strategy. Instead of asking for one specific thing, you present 2 or 3 different packages that all work for you, but give your manager a sense of control over the final decision. Option 1 might be a 15% salary increase. Option 2 could be a 10% increase plus additional vacation time and a professional development budget. Option 3 might be a 12% increase plus a title promotion and leadership of a high visibility project. This approach leverages the psychology of choice. Your manager feels empowered because they're making a decision rather than just saying yes or no to your demand. But all the options work in your favor, so you win, regardless of which one they choose. The final piece of the puzzle is follow-through. Once you reach an agreement, make sure everything is documented clearly. Summarize the conversation in an email, outlining exactly what was agreed upon and when it will take effect. This protects both you and your manager and ensures there's no confusion down the road. But your real work begins after you get the raise. You need to prove that the organization's investment in you was the right decision. This means tracking and documenting your continued value creation, which sets the stage for your next negotiation down the road. Remember, negotiating your compensation isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process that requires strategic thinking, careful preparation, and professional execution. The most successful people don't just ask for raises. They systematically build cases for their value and create multiple opportunities to be rewarded for their contributions. If you found these strategies valuable and want to dive deeper into advanced negotiation techniques, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll be sharing more insider secrets about salary negotiation, including the specific scripts and email templates that have helped thousands of people increase their income. Your career and your bank account will thank you for taking action on these strategies. The question isn't whether you deserve better compensation. The question is whether you're willing to advocate for yourself professionally and strategically. Start building your value archive today, and your future self will thank you for it.